All right, legends, it's Monday after the weekend, getting ready for the week. Some nice trading opportunities that I'm spotting over here. Let me put the music softly here in the background, ever so gently. As you can see, my forehead is a little bit red, got sunburned over the weekend. Just want to turn my camera ever so slightly. I am using a spare camera today. Guys, my camera burnt out last week, Thursday, burnt out. Okay, so I'm using an iPhone, spare iPhone that I had as a webcam. So the quality might not look good today, but at least it's not too bad. I must say, when I look at myself here on the recording software, it's not too bad. But I have ordered myself a new camera. So, right, legends, let's dive into the technical analysis. As per the thumbnail, I put Bitcoin there in a lifeboat because it's now or never. I am keeping an eye on two corrective structures, and the low needs to be very close to being in, otherwise I smell a little bit of danger. Okay, and we could be looking at a much deeper correction to the downside. Right, so we're going to go through those scenarios, we're going to go through trend lines, we're going to go through support, resistances, and anything else that we can find. I want to discuss Bitcoin dominance as well. We can look at Ethereum. Let's see how much time we have. But first, I want to, let's do a little bit of larger time frame analysis here on the price of Bitcoin. Remember to smash up that like button on your way in. And also, guys, after the live stream, leave a little comment after the live stream. It helps tremendously with the YouTube algorithm when you leave a comment after the live stream. The last time I asked you guys to do that, last week somewhere, when I asked you guys to do that, that particular video where you guys went in afterwards and left some comments performed 28% better than all the other videos that I've posted for the last month. So it really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And okay, let's dive right in. Then I'll go through some comments. I do see some of the people popping in. Rudy, hello charters, don't let your spirit down. Positivity and optimism is a moral duty. Have a great day. Well said, very well said. Dewald, how was your weekend? I went on a fishing trip on the weekend and got a little bit sunburned and rained out. So I was planning to stay there the whole weekend, and then I stayed there for one day and it started raining. It's miserable, packed up, and yeah, so very unsuccessful fishing trip, but I did catch a couple of fish while I was there. Okay, big bounce loading. Yes, now that's the scenario I want to talk about right now. Alec, oh man, I missed the intro. Well, you can always rewind after the stream. I'll leave you a comment. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Bro, comments from my 5 accounts. Dewald, love you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Good morning, Dewald. How are you doing? I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Justin, welcome. And I hope BTC also pumps 28% just like your video. Oh, that would be absolutely amazing. A little bit of a 30% pump here to the upside. Okay, so that's enough comments for now. Let's start with the technical analysis. Before I jump into Elliott wave theory, which is the most complex trading strategy, I suppose, or a way to analyze the chart, let's just keep it simple. So first off, let's jump onto the 8-hour time frame and let's look at this entire structure. Okay, for now, the one thing that I'm acknowledging on the higher time frame is that we still have a higher low. We still have a higher low, which means that the probabilities is still in favor of the bulls. Okay, just from a structural perspective, the trend is your friend until the very end, and for now the trend is up, okay, until you take that low. And that's why we will jump into the smaller time frames to try and figure out, well, what is the probabilities of taking this damn low. But for now, the bulls are still in control, and I know it looks very scary here to the downside. And from a fear and greed index perspective, you guessed it, guys, you guessed it. From a fear and greed, when last have you guys checked fear and greed? Okay, because I think it's trending on social media at the moment. Fear and greed is absolutely just trending. Okay, we are at extreme fear. Okay, extreme fear. Now, for me, when we are in extreme fear, and the structure is still bullish, well, that's what I like to see. Because if you have a higher low and you are in greed, in the greed phase, okay, that's not good. Because then the market is going to keep on shaking people out until no one wants to buy anymore. And that's where smart money starts accumulating. So what the fear and greed index is telling me over here, okay, I don't know why there's dinosaurs, maybe for my child, I don't know why there's dinosaurs all over my screen, okay, but here we go. When you are in extreme fear and there is still bullish signs in the air, that's where you need to start paying attention. Because I can tell you now, guys, that every time Bitcoin has gone into extreme fear territory, between 0 and I think it's 15, if I'm not mistaken, or 20, okay, that has usually been the best buying opportunities. Okay, but people are too scared to buy. That's the irony. We go into extreme fear, people are too scared to buy. We go into extreme greed, people don't want to sell because they're too happy with the profits. And so from a psychology perspective, you know, that's the greed and the fear monster on each shoulder saying, don't buy, it's going to fall down lower. When it's over here, don't sell, it's going to go higher. Okay, so you are competing. Let me just do this. Okay, you guys know the feeling. When it's here, no one wants to sell. It's going higher. Okay, when it's here, no one wants to buy. It's going down lower. And historically, this has been the best buying opportunities, and this has been the best selling opportunity, especially on the larger time frame from a macro perspective. So I have told everyone the last time we were here, okay, do you guys remember the last time we were here? Okay, we were jumping between, like, you know, in the extreme fear range. It was a little bit higher, a little bit lower, a little bit higher. That is where Bitcoin was, yeah. Because I remember it like yesterday. That is where I bought. That is where no one wanted to buy. This is where I bought altcoins. This is where I loaded up on a Bitcoin. This is where, you know, this is where I bought, guys. This is where I bought ETH, a big bag of ETH. Okay, and I'm still in profit in that bag because ETH is still very far away from that low. Okay, if I go here onto the ETH chart, okay, just to do a little bit of comparison, and I'm just sharing technicals, legends. I'm literally just sharing technicals. Okay, when ETH, just waiting for this to load up, was here, okay, that's where I bought. That's where I bought. That's where I bought. I bought a massive bag here. I did not nail the entry perfect, but I knew this was a great opportunity because Bitcoin showed me that it has a corrective structure to the downside, and ETH showed me, okay, that it's time to buy because no one wanted to buy or even touch an altcoin during this phase. I bought Link, I bought Doge, I bought some XRP, a little bit more added to my, there was a couple of, I think it's about 6 altcoins that I bought during this zone over here. But XRP and ETH has given me the best profits out of everything that I bought in this zone. Okay, and for now, ETH still looks extremely healthy. It looks way more healthier than Bitcoin at the moment. Okay, so I'm just trying to put this into perspective. When you have a bullish structure to the upside, okay, guys, I know this looks a little bit messy. Let me clean it up. Okay, I was just doing some technical analysis this morning for my own sanity. But when you have a bullish structure to the upside and you have such a long corrective structure already surpassing the 0.618, and the longer price chops here and the longer it goes sideways without claiming this low, the better. There is massive, massive, massive support in this zone. It might not get there because at the moment it's finding support over there. You can see where it's finding support is in this little consolidation. So there could be people waiting, and it's going to leave them behind. Right, so I can only share with you what I do as a technical trader, the risk that I am prepared to take. as a technical trader. I'm not a financial advisor, so please take whatever I'm saying here with a big bag of salt and go and do your own research. But I have started buying again. Yesterday. I bought some yesterday. Okay, from a spot perspective. No swing trades, guys. No, I didn't open up any swing trades yet. But from a spot perspective, I thought, you know what? I love to buy when there's extreme fear. I just love it. So when I bought over here, okay, let me just clean this up, because I know there was comments, and I'm not just saying this for the sake of saying this. When I bought here, I got some nasty comments, very nasty comments from people to say, how dare you mislead your community? Well, I'm telling you that I can only share with you what I am doing. Okay. And one of my biggest reasons why I bought over here is because we had extreme fear and we still had a bullish market structure, which increased the probability of taking that high again. Whether I'm wrong or right, guys, and this is why it's spot bags that I'm buying at the moment, is that I will just, if all hell breaks loose, I do have an exit strategy. And that's what's most important to me, is my exit strategy. Because if price wants to dump here to the downside, well, then I'm going to deploy my exit strategy. And I will most likely still come out with profits. Worst case scenario, break even. Okay, because everything that falls down has to come back up before it continues, and that will be my exit plan. Okay, everything that goes up corrects. It goes up, it corrects. If it falls down, it needs to correct. That's my exit plan. But for now, we are in extreme fear at the moment, and for me, it presents a buying opportunity. ETH's structure for me looks incredible. Okay, you have a low all the way down here at $1,300, and you still have an insane higher low at the moment. You still have insane support here at the moment. There's a high chance, nothing's ever guaranteed. Okay, there's a high chance that even if it falls a little bit further, that it's going to claim that high again. So yesterday I bought more ETH, which dragged my entry up to below this low. My average entry is now over here, just below that low. I checked this morning. I didn't add so crazy, because this is one of the biggest mistakes that people make. Okay, guys, I will jump into the technical analysis now. I'm just sharing with you the sentiment. What I'm looking at is that if you, let's say you have an average entry, okay, over here, that's where my average entry was, okay, and you add, let's say you have $1,000 in this position, okay, and price is now over here, and you add another $1,000, guess what's going to happen? Okay, let me take the fib to where price is now. Well, what's going to happen is it's going to drag your entry all the way to here, to the 50% mark. If you add another $2,000 or $5,000, you can just imagine it's just going to drag your entry up, and now you sit with massive risk again. So the trick for me is, how much do I add to my position so that I can still protect it and that I still don't have a lot of risk? So I was happy to add to my position so that it's down here. So I just added a little bit, guys, just a little bit. Okay, so I started buying again. And I also know when I bought here and price was here, okay, I got messages from people that said, why didn't you tell us you bought? Well, I'm telling you now what I'm doing. I'm buying at the moment. I bought ETH. I bought some Bitcoin. Okay. I'm buying again, guys, because I've programmed my brain to buy if I see a bullish structure and I have an exit strategy and I see this, it's time for me to start deploying some capital. And if price dips lower, I will add a little bit more, okay? I'm not adding all of my dry powder, guys. I always need to make sure that I have some dry powder on the side to say that, well, if it wants to dip a little bit lower, okay, then I can add a little bit there. okay, on ETH as well. So if it wants to dip a little bit lower, then I can add a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. And then especially if I see a sign of strength, that is where I start adding a little bit more aggressive. Okay, once you break that trend, okay, so ETH can do whatever it wants over here. And if it comes to the trend, it starts closing high time frame candles above, it takes that high, okay, it comes up here, it takes the high, it starts changing market structure, it comes back for correction. Now that is where I get aggressive. Okay. But I will still add to the position so that I can still have at least my entry below wherever it's going to create the low. Okay, and you never get it perfect, but I just don't like to have $1,000 position and then you just add $10,000 to the position and then your entry is there. I just don't like to do that. I'd rather add a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. I did not buy enough. Yeah. And I know that there's a high chance that ETH, at least ETH, there's a high chance it's going to claim that high again before it claims the low. Okay. So that is basically my game plan. I do have to highlight, if you want to open up swing trades, okay, this is a far way down, guys. This is why I went spot. Okay. I just went spot. You have to remember from where price is now to the lows. Okay, you're looking at 55%. So on 2x leverage, if you want to put your stop loss here, okay, this is why leverage is so dangerous. If you want to put your stop loss here and you're saying to yourself, I'm going to go in light, I'm going to use 2x leverage, you will still get liquidated before your stop loss hits, unless you add more capital to it. Okay, it's just not a great way to trade. That's a recipe to liquidate your account. Okay, and this is why I haven't opened up any swing trades yet. It's not time yet. For me to open up a swing trade, it needs to break the momentum. It needs to start changing market structure. I want to see a higher high. I want to see a 5-wave move up. I want to see a 3-wave corrective structure. Now that is an interesting swing opportunity. For now, this is not a swing opportunity for me. This is a spot buy. Okay, it's not ready yet. Swing opportunities are not ready yet. Okay, also on the price of Bitcoin, the only time I will enter a swing position on 10x or 15x leverage, okay, whatever you want to, whatever your game plan is, I want to see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to see a 5-wave structure up. And then people are going to say, you missed it. Okay, why did you not enter here? Well, you don't know how low it's going to go. Okay, but when you have a 5-wave structure up, now you have a sign of strength. You are changing market structure, and everything that goes up has to correct itself. Okay, and that becomes your buying opportunity. It's a safer trade. You can manage it better. Now, to me, that is a swing opportunity. Not here. Okay, because let's discuss a couple of scenarios. Right, legends, I have spoken about swing trades. Remember, if you'd like to trade with me, links for the exchanges that I use always down in the description. If you want to join our Legends Pro community, there you go. Everything down in the description where you qualify for the lowest trading fees, bigger sign-up bonuses, and these are the exchanges that I use to trade on a daily basis. Okay. Also, your way to support the channel costs you nothing extra. You're not going to get those deals by Googling and signing up by yourself. Right, legends, now let's go through a couple of scenarios. So on the 8-hour time frame, here on the price of Bitcoin, let me do this. Okay, let's just simplify it a little bit. I have my support and resistance boxes already marked out because that's what I do as a technical trader. It's the work that you have to put in. Bitcoin at the moment is at massive support. Okay, this is the biggest support area where Bitcoin is at the moment. And it would be very strange to not at least get a relief rally. Okay, so if price wants to continue down, it would make more sense to at least get another 3-wave up before you get the continuation down. So that is definitely an opportunity that you can take advantage of. I did discuss the trading opportunities inside of the Legends Pro community already. Okay, so we know exactly what we are waiting for inside of the Legends Pro community. Right, so only thing I want to highlight, yes, it would be very strange, worst case scenario, to not at least get a little bit of a relief rally. Like we did over there. Like we did over there. You get the dump, you get the relief. You get the dump, you get the relief. We've now had the dump. It would be nice to at least get a relief. But there's also a chance that maybe the low is in and you get the 5-wave move up. The 3-wave becomes interesting and then we continue to the upside. Right, so also if you take your volume, your VRVP, just to show everyone, well, volume also supports, okay, that we are at massive support at the moment. Okay, if I take a fib from the low to the highest point of the structure, just to keep it simple, okay, you can also see that price just tapped the 0.618 from the low to the high. Price now claimed the 0.618, okay, which is over there. So we already wicked below. Okay, and there's a price did a nice little pump. Okay, price did a nice little pump here to the upside. Okay, but there's a chance that it could still chop around, make another wick to the downside, maybe make another wick to the downside. But you want price to start finding support in the zone, because if it's going to lose this zone, which is the highest volume node, let me just wait for that to load up. Okay, you can see this. And this is the reason this box is so dark green, because look at this mountain of volume over here. The next area of decent support, I'm not talking about this box, and that's why it's light green. There is a high volume node supporting this box over here. The next decent area of support is at the 786. And guess what? That is still a bullish target. Even if price does this, okay, and it finds upwards momentum, this, ladies and gentlemen, is still a bullish bounce. We have a consolidation area, we have a high volume node, and if price can, at least worst case scenario, find its feet at the 786, it's still a bullish bounce, which increases the probability that you're going to take out that high before you take out the low. Okay, so the bulls, for now, it might not look like it, are still in control. Okay, from a macro perspective. Right, now let's go on to the 4-hour time frame. Let me switch this off. So let me keep it simple. What I'm waiting for, very patiently, this is now what I'm waiting for. Let me switch this off. Take this out the way. Okay, let's talk a little bit of momentum. Okay, so here's a couple of trends that I'm currently tracking. Just keeping it simple. If I zoom into this little structure, you can see I've got my alarms set. Okay. Most important trend is the one that I've got here, the thick one over here. But I want to catch the breakout before the big breakout, so that I could potentially have better risk management and maybe even have a free trade to the upside. Okay, so from a momentum perspective, well, there's another trend when you connect that pivot and that pivot. Okay, a trend line that has 2 touches is usually dangerous, because it can create a 3rd touch and reject. Because what could happen with this trend line is it taps and it rejects again. So, okay, it presents a shorting opportunity. I like to see 3 taps on a trend line. This also has 2 taps, so it could maybe break this one and then reject. Okay, so there's always a danger with a trend line that has 2 taps. You have to wait for signs of strength, whatever that means from a trading perspective to you. MACDs, RSIs, body closes above, okay, whatever a sign of strength means to you. And then there's this teeny weeny one that I'm tracking here at the moment. So, you know, my game plan is, well, break this trend first. Bitcoin, break this trend first, because that is potentially where I can get a great little entry. Show me that you want to turn around. Okay, that presents either a rejection or it closes high time frame candles. So every time price taps the trend, I will pay attention and see how price reacts at that level. I will either hedge against my long, or I will add to my position for my long, depending on what I see. But all I'm trying to do here, okay, is I'm trying to catch this one before it breaks out. And if it rejects, you guys should know the deal by now. If it rejects, make no mistake that I would have taken profits to the upside, and I will have a protected position so that if I'm wrong and I get stopped out, I get stopped out with profits. That's how you trade. If it breaks out, by all means, then you can add to position. It starts changing market structure. It comes back for retest, continuation. There's many ways to trade that scenario. Okay. I'm just trying to get in early so that I don't have to stress too much about this trade. Okay. The only thing maybe that I will do there is open up a head short. That's basically from a momentum perspective. Okay. So now let's discuss a couple of Elliott wave scenarios. So the most popular Elliott wave scenario at the moment is the ending diagonal. Okay. Think there's many people talking about this, and I see it's also doing the rounds on social media. Basically, how this ending diagonal works is that you formed a three-wave A, okay, you have a three-wave B, and now you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a C wave. Price finds its feet here by the 786. You have a clear invalidation. Price is not allowed to tap $89,900 in this scenario, after which you want price to go back up. Okay. There was another scenario that I shared, I think last week and the week before, and if I'm not mistaken, even the week before that. There's another scenario that I shared, and I just went and I updated it today, and I shared it with the Legends Pro community as well. I do not like this scenario at all because it has mistakes. It has a couple of mistakes inside of it. Okay. And I did some research this morning. I'm not sure if Joan is here in the live chat. I also shared some comments and my insight with Joan, and we brainstormed it together because there's a little bit of contradicting information about Elliott wave theory when it comes to this scenario. Okay, Robert Prachter, the godfather of Elliott wave theory, states that you're not allowed to have a flat corrective structure inside of a diagonal. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is a flat corrective structure. Yes, it is a three-wave corrective structure, but it's a flat. It tapped a flat target, which is not allowed inside of diagonals, according to Robert Prachter's rules inside of Elliott wave theory. But according to some other sources, newer information, it states that it is allowed inside of an ending diagonal and only inside of the fourth wave. So now there's a little bit of, you have information that's contradicting itself. It kind of feels like the Bible. The Old Testament says this and then the New Testament says this, and it's just contradicting each other. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to bring religion into this, but you guys get the point. You have contradicting information. So when I saw this, because I spoke about this last week Thursday, do everyone remember? And then now price fell to the downside. And this is why I told everyone last week Thursday, ideally what you would like to see is for price, okay, to, I think it was this low, A, B, C. Yeah, it was to sweep these lows again. Sweep the lows, get acceptance back above to form that bigger A, B, C to the upside. Okay, W, X, Y, whatever, a larger fourth wave. Okay, we wanted to see a larger fourth wave, which we did not get. And then price fell. And now I see there's a lot of people looking at an ending diagonal. I think Elliott wave theory can be a little bit forgiving, because even if price does turn around here, people are going to say this scenario played out to perfection. I just think there's a better way of counting it correctly from an Elliott wave perspective. Okay, so now the question remains, okay, let's just look at the scenario and discuss it. Price, and these were the two boxes that I highlighted to the pro community last week, is to say that if price falls to the downside, it needs to find support in this zone. It's fine if it comes down and it wicks it again, but it gets acceptance back above, but you want price to find support in this zone and should not tap the 1-to-1 extension. Okay, so these are now the rules. It needs to break this trend, which it hasn't done yet. What if, now the question is, what if price does this and then it goes up? What if then what? How do you count this corrective structure? Okay. Well, so let me go back here to, let me go to the Coinbase chart because I actually have everything prepared there. Okay, right. So just want to get this entire structure in here. I just want to take you guys through my thinking process. Okay. If it's not, okay, now I'm putting on the hat of, if the contracting diagonal is invalidated, is there still a way for Bitcoin to find its feet and take out the high? Is there any way, if this is not a contracting diagonal? What else can I see inside of the structure that shows me that the low could be very close to in? Because the concern that I had is to say that if the ending diagonal gets invalidated, does this mean we're only going down and we're going to go and claim the low at $74,000? Yeah, $72,000. Is there any other bullish or short-term bearish case scenario where if it does this and it taps the invalidation, okay, that Bitcoin could still go up and claim the high? This is what I was trying to figure out this morning. And then I opened up one of my old scenarios that I have shared on this channel already, last week and the week before. I forgot about it because I'm jumping around between charts. I just needed to update it ever so slightly, okay? And my thinking process was, well, if this is a A, okay, this is a B, because a three-wave structure B, okay, what if only this was the C? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, well then I can label that a W. And what if this three-wave structure was the X? Now, in order to form a Y wave, you need an ABC. You need an A, you need a three-wave structure B, and you need one last leg to the downside to create a Y wave. That was my thinking process. And by the way, it actually balances very nicely because it solves for the problem with a flat structure inside of the ending diagonal. So it's basically this scenario. Okay. The only change I made is this B used to be here and this C used to be here. So I wanted this structure to extend a little bit. I was hoping when price made this low, to complete a three-wave structure in A, I was hoping for B to form a larger three-wave structure, okay, which it didn't. So now I'm adjusting it. If I put B here and I put C here, okay, there's a chance for the bulls. Yes, I know that some people are going to say, Dewald, but if A, okay, is a three-wave structure, then B has to tap a flat target. It is not. It does not break the rule if it does not. It impacts probabilities. Okay, some rules in Elliott wave theory it's a no-go, and some rules are it impacts probabilities. Your B does not have to tap a flat target. It is preferred and seen most often when you have a three-wave A. So, only thing that I was trying to figure out here is to say that, well, is there still a chance for the bulls if we do sweep that invalidation for the contracting diagonal, okay, that we could still go and claim the high? Yes, there is. A, B, C, W. A, B, C, X. A, B, C, Y. Okay. This could also be an A, B, C. I just want to think. Yes, you can get a WXY inside of a Y wave. Yes, you can get a double zigzag. So there's a couple of ways in which you can count it. Maybe you can count this A, B, C. Okay, maybe that's a W. Maybe this is an X, and now this is an A, B, C, and you still get a double zigzag. So you see zigzag, connector, zigzag. So you could still come and tap maximum target $87,000. In a W, X, Y, you do not want to tap the 1.618. It's not an invalidation, but it's very rare for a WXY to tap the 1.618. The most common target is the 1.382. But the one-to-one extension where price is chopping at the moment is also a target. A little bit more rare, but it's a target. The 1.236, also a target. Most common target, 1.382. So the worst case scenario that I currently see based on this structure is that we come down to $87,000, 420 in a double zigzag. Because now that solves also for the problem because the B wave didn't tap the flat. Okay, remember guys, just to recap, I know it gets very confusing, but this is how you need to learn to read the structures, guys. You need to learn, you need to teach yourself to read the structures. Okay, there's a three-wave structure here, clear three-wave structure, zigzag. That's what we refer to as a zigzag. Then you have a corrective structure to the upside. Okay, now this is the first leg. Okay, I'm really labeling this as the first move to the downside. Okay, it could repeat this. Okay, because that's your connector wave. So zigzag, and it could do another zigzag. A, B, C. A, B, C. Okay, that is your W. This is your X, and you can create a Y here to the downside. If price does not fall any further, then then we're going to have to accept the fact, because in the ending diagonal and also in the WXY scenario, there are issues. Okay, so if the low is in, then I have to count it as an A, a B that did not tap a flat target. It was supposed to tap the 0.9. So if you take a fib from the high to the low of A, you drag it across. This little B, okay, this B was supposed to come here, and it did not. Because A wave is a three-wave structure, B has to tap a flat target. It didn't. So there is a problem. So if everything has to work out according to not breaking any rules, then I would like to see this. I want to see another three-wave structure. Let's claim the lows again. Then everything balances to perfection. There's no problem because you have a five-wave structure down in an A, which means B here can go wherever it wants to. Okay, three-wave structure in B. You have another five-wave structure in A. B can go wherever it needs to go. And now you're going to form another five-wave structure in an A. You form a B. Okay, and you have another five-wave structure to the downside. Hopefully it does not tap this 1.618 and it finds its feet at $87,000. So these are basically the two bullish corrective structures that I'm currently keeping an eye on. Okay. Right, guys, there is a bearish case scenario where Bitcoin is basically building up multiple 1-2s. Okay, you have a 1-2. Okay, maybe this is another 1-2, 1-2. Okay, 1-2. It's just building up nested 1-2s, and eventually it's just going to drop in a third wave. It's going to take the low, and then I will execute my exit strategy. So yes, there's always an extreme bearish case scenario as well. But dare I say, technically, okay, there's a chance that the low is close to being in. There's a chance that the low is close to being in looking at this structure. Okay, so there's maybe one more week. It's perfectly fine to the downside, okay, where it has this consolidation area. It has the 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 4 5, and then it goes up for either a B and it takes the low again, or the low is in and I want to see a 1 2 3 4 5, and then that becomes a longing opportunity. So obviously, as price plays out, I will make a decision whether I enter a swing trade or not. Because if you were in the live stream on Thursday, you knew, okay, because this is what I said, this structure has a higher chance of being corrective. I showed you all the bullish case scenarios inside of this structure. Okay, and I told everyone the probabilities are still high to take out the low because I'm struggling to count an impulsive structure here. It looks corrective while we took the lows. Okay, so it is the movement to the upside that will give me the information that I need either for a shorting opportunity or for a swing long opportunity. I will only execute a swing long opportunity if I see an impulsive wave to the upside and a 3-wave corrective structure. Okay, now that becomes an interesting swing opportunity that will also break the momentum lines that I've just highlighted on the trend lines. Okay. Ooh, right, I've gone through a lot over here. Stefan 1, welcome to the live stream. A is 5-wave in that count with long 4 and extended 5th wave. Ooh, Joan, I'm not sure which. I've gone through so many ones. Okay, but I hope you agree with my analysis over here. Joan is an absolute legend when it comes to Elliott wave theory. I often reach out to him and we brainstorm together. Okay, because it's not easy, guys. It's not easy. It's nice to have someone to, you know, just brainstorm together with. Okay. I mean, this A over here, if you want to count this as an A, it's a 3-wave structure. Okay, you have a 5 3 5. You have an A wave over here, which means you have to tap a flat target. Okay, it did not tap a flat target, which means that technically the scenario that has the highest probability in terms of having no mistakes is this one. Dare I say, it's this one. Okay, where I move Y and I move C. Because if price does this, this scenario has no mistakes. Nothing. So maybe based on mistakes, the scenario carries the highest probability because the ending diagonal has a flat structure, which according to some sources is not allowed. A WXY-B did not tap a flat target. So it's not an invalidation, guys. It just impacts probabilities. So from a probability perspective, it makes sense to move up in a 3-wave structure and fall down again. After which you want to see continuation back to the upside to go and claim the high in this corrective structure scenario. Okay. But you want to see, or dare I say, you want to see some choppiness, guys. You know, inside of the structure, you want to see some choppiness because if this structure, I can tell you now, if this structure is building up multiple 1-2s, okay, it's building up multiple 1-2s at some point, okay, because remember, a diagonal has a higher probability in being multiple 1-2s than an ending diagonal, okay. So let me explain, okay? You get, let me switch it on over here. So here's the diagonal, and I'll go through some comments in a moment. This scenario, the highest probability for this scenario, okay, is to be double 1-2s, nested 1-2s, 1 2 1 2 1 2, and eventually you just get a waterfall to the downside. That's the highest probability. The second highest probability is to be a ending diagonal, okay, which we are now looking at. An ending diagonal that finds its feet, it breaks the trend, and we go and we claim that high. That's the second highest probability just based on theory. The lowest probability is to be a leading diagonal, where it creates a 3-wave structure up, you have your 5 waves down, and then it waterfalls to the downside. Okay, so in first place, worst case scenario is that price, okay, waterfalls here to the downside. So I need to see the reaction at these zones. I cannot explain to you how important it is. If I switch the scenario back on, okay, remember guys, if price waterfalls here to the downside, if it's below my area of interest, I am not taking the trade. I want price to slow down like it's doing now. It needs to slow down. It needs to start consolidating. It needs to chop at the level. I want to see some bullish CVD before I need the signs in order for me to execute the trade. If I'm not playing a swing failure pattern, then I'll look for strength. If I'm playing a swing failure pattern, then I don't mind getting stopped out, especially if it's just going to waterfall here to the downside. Because if this is a nested 1-2 building up here, nested 1-2s, at some point you're going to get a waterfall to the downside. It's just going to smack the lows. It's going to cut like a hot knife through butter. So I need to watch the price action. It needs to play out in order for me to make that trading decision. So ideally, if we are still going to take the lows, okay, let's say we go up here in a 3-wave structure, we create another B, and then we fall to the downside. I want price to slow down. It needs to start chopping. Okay, it needs to start chopping at my level. I want to see this. It's the best way that I can explain it. Okay, right, legends, remember to smash up that like button. Let me go through some comment. What about the price action this past hour? Is that bullish or bearish sign? Past hour? Let's go here onto the Binance chart. Right, so let me switch off the scenarios. Okay, let's go to the 1 hour time frame. Okay, for now, it looks like the bulls are stepping in. I'm not going to go into too much detail here on the smaller time frame because I want to preserve this for the Legend Pro community. So if you want to join the Legend Pro community, by all means. But this looks like a 1-2, okay? You have another 1-2. So you have your nested 1-2s over here. You have your fall to the downside with high volume. So what I would like to see now is for price to do the same, okay? Do the same over here. So 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. Maybe there's another 4, 5 in here, but you want price to start curling and going back to the upside. And that is why I have my momentum lines. Okay, so if you're asking me if this bounce is bullish, well, on the 1 hour time frame, if it claimed the 0.88, I'm going to say no, but it did not. It actually tapped the 0.786, which is, for now, a bullish bounce. If price came down lower and it tapped the 0.88, then it increases the probabilities you're going to take that low again. So this bounce for the moment actually looks pretty damn good. Okay, from a shorting perspective, I mean, I always like to take the lower degree from my FIP perspective. Okay, we have not tapped the 0.382 just as yet, and I think, well, we also have a naked point of control in the zone. So, okay, if you are in a long from these SFPs, maybe you got in at the 786. I don't know what your trading plan is. Well, you know, if you are in any longs, this is an interesting profit-taking area. Profit-taking areas also presents interesting shorting opportunities because you could still do this and then turn around. Okay. Your analysis on the price action behavior is needed on a daily basis, Mac. Yes, I mean, I used to go live twice a day. I then scaled it back to once a day, and now I'm about on 3 to 4 times a week. Okay, and I think I'm just going to stay and stick with that for now, because often there are things that has not changed that much since my last analysis. Okay, and then I feel like, why do I even need to go live? Everything is still exactly the same as per the scenarios that I presented the previous day. So I am going to go live ever so slightly, a little bit, well, not less than now, but I'm not going to do the 2 live streams a day anymore, guys. It's very draining and it's a lot of work, especially if I've spoken about scenarios in the morning and now I do a live stream in the evening and nothing has changed. Like, what do you talk about? Like, there's nothing else, there's no new information. So I found that doing 3 to 4 live streams a week, it feels like there's a lot to talk about. Okay, it keeps the live streams a little bit more interesting. Otherwise, it's just, Dewald's going live again. He's most probably just going to repeat what he said 4 hours ago. Okay, I know you guys want to see me live more often, but I also have to balance it between fresh content that I'm actually able to talk about and not just feel or sound like a broken record saying the same thing over and over and over and over again. So make no mistake, if price had to tank here to the downside, I will go live and we will discuss this. So if there's a big move and something interesting is happening, I will go live. Okay. But if I look at the chart and I was like, not much has changed, then what's the point? Okay, what's the point? And I think that's why it's so important to pay attention in these live streams, because often when I don't go live, it means that the content from the previous live stream is still relevant. Okay, nothing has changed just as yet. Right, middag Dewald. Going to go back to the beginning to watch now. I'm late as usual. Rafe, absolute pleasure, man. No worries at all. Easy stuff. Stefan one, always appreciate your support here. 2 streams a day for us is like a kid in a candy shop. I know, Mac. I used to do 2 live streams a day. But you know, just in all honesty, I felt like I was burning out and I didn't have enough time to actually trade myself. Okay, because you're constantly just preparing scenarios, looking at different scenarios, going through altcoins to keep the content relevant and fresh. It's a lot of work from a influencer perspective to do 2 live streams a day and still keep it interesting. Okay, 1 live stream a day is still manageable. Okay, maybe I'll go back to 1 live stream a day, but I've still got a couple of things that I need to sort out in the background from a course perspective, and then maybe I'll go back to 1 live stream a day. But for now, I'm just going to stick to 3 to 4 live streams a week, which is basically almost every second day, you could say. And then if there's something really interesting that does play out, by all means. What were you fishing for on your trip? It was just river fishing, so it's carp, barbel. I don't know what you call it in English, but in Afrikaans we call it modderback. Okay, bass, and yeah, it's basically millie pips on a hook, and you just, with your millie bomb throw that in. And it's not so much about the fishing, it's just getting out, sitting next to the bonfire, sleeping inside of nature. And usually, I mean, for some people this might sound disgusting, but when I go fishing with my brother, we like to go to places where there's nothing. Like if you want to have a number 2 or number 1, you find a tree and you dig a hole. Okay, there's no bathroom facilities, no water, no electricity, because it's a way for me to break out of what I'm doing now, the technology, the phones, the charts. I like to really go to a place to get myself out of my comfort zone. So yes, the place we went to has no bathrooms, no electricity, and it does have water, but you can't drink it. So the only thing you can do with the water is wash your hands. So you have to be prepared. It's very nice to do fishing like that. And Dewald is like a dad in crypto, strict, wise and smart. Phantom, much appreciated. Always the kind words. Okay, off-grid, yes, Alec. Love off-grid. I love off-grid. The less is more. Also, when you look up and you can actually see the Milky Way at night because there's no light pollution. That to me is amazing. I will lie on my sleeping bag for hours and just watch the stars. And then often what we'll do, me and my brother, is we'll actually see how many shooting stars we can count for that night. It's very relaxing. I love doing that. Okay, I need to do it more often, but it's now rainy season, but also summer here in South Africa. So you're always caught between a rock and a hard place. You want to go away because the weather is fantastic, but you just never know if you're going to catch that miserable weather like we did this weekend. The first day was amazing, and this is where I got sunburned. And then the next day it just came down with rain. Okay, and that's not pleasurable to be inside of rainy weather. Okay, fish man, fish. That's me, lol. Stephen 1. Yes, I love fishing. Sensei Dewald. Right, legends, remember to smash up that like button if you haven't done so already. Remember, the links for the exchanges that I use are down in the description, where you qualify for the biggest sign-up bonuses and lowest trading fees. If you want to join our Legends Pro community, where I do give some trading setups as well and analyze the charts, okay, link down in the description. Wishing you all a great Monday, and I will be live soon, most probably on Wednesday. Until then, cheers for now.